Okay, good day everyone. Welcome back to my channel. So ngayon po ay ipagpapatuloy po natin yung topic natin about factoring polynomials. So andito na po tayo sa isang type or klase ng factoring na tinatawag na perfect square trinomial. Okay. It is said that a trinomial is a perfect square trinomial if the first and the last terms are perfect squares. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, yung first term at saka last term should be a perfect square. So, from this pattern or from this formula, we could say that the first polynomial is x squared plus 2xy plus y squared. So, as we observe, the first term and the last term are raised by a second power or squared. So, meaning, perfect square siya if it looks like this. Okay? Dapat yung second term must be a product of 2, the product of the square root of x, and the product of square root of y. Okay? So, kung plus yan lahat, so plus din dito. So, ibig sabihin nito, ang factor ng trinomial na ito ay itong nasa right side. X plus y to the power of 2. Okay? In other words, pwede din yun, it is just equivalent to x plus y. Close. X plus y. Dalawang x plus y. Okay? Now, look at the second trinomial. Okay? Magkatulad sila nito, pero yung second term is minus dito. Okay? Kung ganito yung itsura ng trinomial na perfect square, ito rin yung factored form niya. X minus y to the power of 2. Okay? This is just a review to you. Okay? Given the concept of how to factor a perfect square trinomial. From the word perfect square, okay, just take note of that. You should try to analyze first the given trinomial, whether it is a perfect square. Okay? Okay, because in the latter discussion, we will have the trial and error method for a trinomial, which is not a perfect square. Okay, so patuloy tayo. Okay, let us consider these examples here, 1 to 6. Okay, let's answer this. Number 1, factor x squared plus 6x plus 9. Now here, try to look at the first term and the last term. This is indeed a perfect square, no? We could have this as, if we will write the first term, that is x, the square root of x is, the square root of x is x. While here, that is 3 squared, correct? Okay. Now, what is in the middle term? Okay. Since this is plus, the middle term should look like this. 2 times x plus y. So, plus 2. What is the value of our x? So, x lang Japon. Times what is the value of our y? Which is 3. Plus. So, we are correct. 2 times 3 is 6x. So, you just try to look at the first term and the last term. So, we already know that the square root of x squared is x, while the square root of 9 is 3. So, using the perfect square trinomial na formula, wherein it is all positive, then we could have x plus 3 squared. Okay. That's the factor of number 1. Okay? Or, kung galibog pa mo, do you have x plus 3? X plus 3 times x plus 3 is just equivalent to x plus 3 squared. The factored form. Okay? Now, let's move on to example number 2. Okay. What is the square root of the first term? we have y squared. We already know that it is minus. So what's the square root of the last term? What is the square root of 25? We have 5 squared. Okay? Now, since we presume that these examples are perfect square trinomial already, ha? So, lahat ng examples dito ay perfect square trinomial na. So, let us automatically consider the formula. Since this is minus and we already got the value of your x and y, so it follows that the factored form of number 2 is y minus 5 to the power of 2. Kasi minus ito dito sa second term eh. Kapag minus sa second term, ito yung gamitin ninyo. Okay? Kapag plus or positive lahat, ito yung gamitin ninyo. Okay. Take note ha. As you observe our answer in the factored form, this y is the square root of the first term. 5 is the square root of the last term. Here, x is the square root of the first term. 3 is the square root of the last term. That's the technique. Okay? Now, how about example number 3? Okay, what's the square root of 9? 3. What's the square root of x squared? That is x. So, meron na tayong isa. Minus, so meaning ganito ang itsura. So, sa last term, you have square root of 4. You have 2. So, that is 2 squared. So, may partner na tayo. Using the formula, since minus ito dito, so ganito ang magiging mukha natin. So, you have 3x minus 2 squared. Okay? Did you get it, guys? Okay. Now, let's move on to number 4. Okay, we are given x squared plus 2x plus 1. Okay? Again, we could have the square root of x squared is x. You could write it this way. We write plus because the last term is plus. Okay? So, what's the square root of 1? That is 1. So, we have already a partner. Since it is plus or positive, use the first formula. So, you have x plus 1 squared. Okay? Now, how about number 5? X to the fourth plus 2x squared plus 1. Okay? Get the square root of x to the fourth. Dapat perfect square siya. So, that is equivalent to x squared to the power of 2. Correct? Because 2 times 2 is 4. Now, how about the last term? Square root, we know already that the square root of 1 is 1. So, 1 squared. So, you have now a partner since plus. So, kani inyong sundon? You have now x squared plus 1 to the power of 2. Okay? Madali lang ano? Okay. Now, we have our last example, number 6. We have p squared minus 2pq plus q squared. Okay. So, madali lang eh. Get the square root of p squared, which is p. Then, the square root of q squared, which is q. Since minus ito dito, so we will use that formula. So, you have now p minus q squared. Okay? That's all for the perfect square trinomial na factoring. So, I hope may na-learn kayo dito na factoring. So, since we've done with removing a common monomial factor, the difference of two squares, we have the perfect square trinomials. So, ano pa bang kulang natin? Mayroon pa tayong i-discuss na factoring, sum or difference of two cubes. Okay? Then the trial and error method, and then the factory of grouping. So maraming salamat po. Hope you enjoy watching, and then please naman po if you have some time, mag-answer kayo. I-enjoy nyo lang yung mga exercises na binibigay ko, pinopost ko dun sa Facebook page ko. At sa iba pa po na hindi po nakapag-like or nakapag-follow ng FB page ko, pwede po mag-like na po kayo at sa can you share it to your friends. At sa hindi pa po nakapag-subscribe ng YouTube channel ko, please subscribe my YouTube channel. Maraming salamat po. Amping po tayo sa lahat. Thank you.